This is a Bürstner Elegance i910G. Beautiful, isn't it? It costs over 100,000, so you'll need a hefty pension pot or some good funding to pay for it. It weighs 5 tons, so you're going to need a C1 license to drive it. And you can see it's fairly long. It's actually 8.9 meters long, so you're going to need a big space to park it. But while lots of other things at Burstner have changed in recent years, the one thing that stayed absolutely the same at the top is elegance. And elegant it certainly is. Let's take a look inside to see. So, you join me here in the Elegance's huge front lounge. If James Bond were to have a motorhome, it would probably be something like this. You could easily sit 8 people around this extended table, which is actually twice as many people as there is room to sleep in this motorhome or even to travel, because there are 2 travel seats at the back here. Which means that you can invite all your friends in the caravan park round for a good slap-up dinner. And mightily impressed they would be too. First of all, with the comfort. I mean, for example, even this side settee comes with a little armrest. If you ever sat on this kind of settee in another motorhome, you quite often find that after a couple of hours your posterior is aching like nothing on earth. There's also things like the attention to detail with the lighting. The ambient lighting around the base of the bed here and along the lockers. You might think that's trivial, but if you've ever sat in a motorhome without it on a cold winter evening, believe me, you notice the difference. But there's literally hundreds of touches in this motorhome that make it rise above the average and perhaps go some way to justifying that price. For instance, as soon as you come in, there's the lit grab handle and the lit plastic mouldings that create a warming effect in the entranceway. There's also the cupboard by the door which hides the Aldi controls, so there's no chance of any white screen being annoying at night and keeping you awake. If you look up at the ceiling, all the way down the van, there are elegant LED lights right the way back into the bedroom, which kind of give a unifying effect. And with the table fully contracted, you get a nice long gangway from the cab seats, again, all the way back to the bed, uninterrupted. And lastly, if you fancy a little tipple, there's a very elegant cocktail cabinet just above where the television would go. So much for an aperitif. Now what about dinner? Well, in this very stylish central kitchen, you get a 3-burner hob which has been nicely pushed to the back, so there's plenty of workspace around it. Obviously it comes with an extractor fan. This stylish tap goes over the round stainless steel sink. And in this drawer, there's enough bottle space to keep the party going for many hours. But just take a look at these drawers. They're the kind of thing you'd have back at home. In fact, in many places, it's probably better than what you'd have at home. And these lockers too are nicely opening and closing with plenty of space, even if you include the space for the extractor fan below there. Going over on this side, perhaps the fitted oven, maybe a little bit on the high side for some people, but you get a huge fridge with a separate freezer. And in case you like motorhoming in colder climes, like say if you want to go to see the Northern Lights or you go skiing, it's useful to know that under here you get access to the water tanks, so you don't actually have to go outside to deal with them. So what about the washroom? Well, no, we haven't suddenly decamped to a hotel washroom. This enormous space is what you get in the Elegance. You get a huge vanity unit with a nice big wash basin, a toilet more or less on its own with 3 more cupboards, a huge shower cubicle, and not 1, but 2 wardrobes, one for hanging and another one with shelves in. You might think there are no towel rails in here. Well, there are actually. There are 2 of them. They're hidden behind these little cupboards here, and they slide out like so. And if you fancy a change of lighting, you can do all kinds of fancy effects with the switches here. So all this, and we haven't even moved on to the rear bedroom. So if we slide back the doors, there's a bit of a step up here, but we can see there are 2 large and comfortable fixed single beds. Headroom isn't exactly generous with those lockers being where they are, but you do get 2 reading spotlights and a main socket, which means if you want a radio in here, you can have one. There's also another set of sockets in the corner over there for a second TV, should you want that. In between the 2 beds, there's a wardrobe on one side and shelves on the other, and a little cubby hole for shoes and slippers and things. And should you ever want to be more romantic one evening, you can put this little pillow in the middle to make the 2 singles into a double. But that's not the only bed in this motorhome. There's one at the front, and as you would expect in a van at this price, it comes down electronically. These spotlights make me think that Burstner have anticipated that it's likely to be teenagers who'll be using this bed because they can each be turned on individually, and not only that, at the far side you'll see 2 USB sockets, so there'll never be any squabbling about whose mobile gets the charge first. From the driver's seat, the Elegance is a very handsome beast, and it's always good to see a couple of extra drink holders on the UK driver's side. We are, of course, talking about a huge motorhome here, but that does have some advantages. The double floor means you get an extra locker here for outside storage. The twin axle gives you extra stability, and of course, at the back, you get a huge garage. So to sum up, what we have here is nearly 9 metres of pure motorhome luxury. Of course, as it costs well into 6 figures, it's not going to be affordable for everyone. But if you can afford that, lucky you. And if you can't, well, what's the harm in dreaming?